This book completely changed the way I think about success. And if you're between the age 16 to 24, you have to watch this video. Now the problem is, I've always been great at starting new things. New habits, new goals, new projects, like literally. I tried dice stacking, card tricks, Rubik's Cube, badminton, chess, dance, interior designing, and even YouTube. I kept shifting from one goal to another. And because of that, I never got to see exponential results. Then I read this book, The Compound Effect, and these 3 key lessons solved exactly that problem. Key lesson number 1. The 3 friends. Let's take 3 buddies who all grew up together. They live in the same neighborhood with very similar sensibilities. Each makes around $50,000 a year. They're all married and have average health and body weight, plus a little bit of that dreaded marriage flap. Friend number 1, let's call him Larry, plods along doing as he's always done. He's happy, or so he thinks, but complains occasionally that nothing ever changes. Friend number 2, Scott, starts making small, seemingly inconsequential, positive changes. He begins reading 10 pages of a book per day and listening to 30 minutes of something instructional or inspirational on his commute to work. Scott wants to see changes in his life but doesn't want to make a fuss over it. He's going to cut 125 calories from his diet every day, no big deal. We're talking maybe a cup of cereal less, trading that can of soda for a bottle of seltzer, switching from mayo to mustard on his sandwich. Doable, right? He's also started walking a couple thousand extra steps per day. No grand acts of bravery or effort. Stuff anyone could do. But Scott is determined to stick with these choices, knowing that even though they are simple, he could also easily be tempted to abandon them. Friend number 3, Brad, makes a few poor choices. He recently bought a new big screen TV so he can watch more of his favorite programs. He's been trying out the recipes he's seen on the Food Network. The cheesy casseroles, the desserts are his favorites. Oh, and he installed a bar in his family room and added 1 alcoholic drink per week to his diet. Nothing crazy. Brad just wants to have a little fun and relax a bit more during the week. Now from this diagram, you can see at the end of 5 months, no perceivable differences exist between Larry, Scott, or Brad. Scott continues to read a little bit every night and listen to audios during his commute. Brad is enjoying life and doing less. Larry keeps doing as he always has. At the end of 10 months, we still can't see noticeable changes in any of their lives. It's not until we get to the end of the 18th month that the slightest differences are measurable in these 3 friends' appearances. But at about month 25, we start seeing really measurable, visible differences. At month 27, we see an expansive difference, and by month 31, the change is startling. Brad is now fat while Scott is trim. By simply cutting 125 calories a day in 31 months, Scott has lost 33 pounds. And here we can see that Scott is doing a lot better in life just because he took small, seemingly inconsequential decisions every single day. Brad, on the other hand, made compound effect work against him, and he's doing way worse by the end of month 29. Larry, on the other hand, does what he always did. So he sees no changes, be it positive or negative. And the reason why Scott could achieve all of this was by using the next key lesson, the unsung, unseen hero. Once you start tracking your life, your attention will be focused on the smallest things you're doing right as well as the smallest thing you're doing wrong. And when you choose to make even the smallest course corrections consistently over time, you'll begin to see amazing results. But don't expect immediate fanfare. When I say small course corrections, I'm talking truly invisible. Chances are no one's going to notice them anytime soon. There will be no applause. No one's going to send you a congratulations card or a trophy for these disciplines. And yet, eventually, their compound effect will result in an exceptional payoff, like Scott. The difference between the number 1 ranked golfer and the number 10 golfer is less than a stroke on average, but the difference in prize money is more than double. That's the power of the compound effect. The best illustration I can give you to emphasize the power of small adjustments is that of a plane traveling from Los Angeles to New York City. If the nose of the plane is pointed only 1% off course, almost an invisible adjustment when the plane's sitting on the tarmac in Los Angeles, it will ultimately end up about 150 miles off course. And here you can see that in the form of a diagram. Just a 1% change in course results in being 150 miles off course. And by the way, while I was reading, I was taking down important notes and key lessons that truly helped me. And I would suggest you guys to do that as well, as it's very beneficial. Moving on to the most important point of this video. Finding your mojo, your why power. Assuming willpower is what you need to change your habits is akin to trying to keep a hungry grizzly bear out of your picnic basket by covering it with a napkin. To fight the bear of your bad habits, you need something stronger. When you're having trouble doing the hard work of achieving your goals, it's common to believe you simply lack willpower. I disagree. It's not enough to choose to be successful. You thought you were going to lose all that weight last time. You thought you would make all those sales calls last year. Let's stop the insanity and do something different so you can get different and better results. Forget about willpower. It's time for why power. Your choices are only meaningful when you connect them to your desires and dreams. The wisest and the most motivating choices are the ones aligned with that which you identify as your purpose, your core self, and your highest values. You've got to want something and know why you want it, or you'll end up giving up too easily. So, what is your why? You've got to have a reason if you want to make significant improvements to your life. And to make you want to make the necessary changes, your why must be something that is fantastically motivating to you. And here's my favorite analogy to prove this. If I were to put a 10-inch wide, 30-foot long plank on the ground and say, if you walk the length of the plank, I'll give you $20. Would you do it? Of course, it's an easy $20. But what if I took that same plank and made a rooftop bridge between 200-story buildings? That same $20 for walking the 30-foot plank no longer looks desirable or even possible, does it? You'd look at me and say, not on your life. Now here's when it changes. If your child was on the opposite building and that building was on fire, would you walk the length of the plank to save him or her? Without question, and immediately you would do it, $20 or not. Why is it that the first time I asked you to cross that sky-high plank, you said no way? Yet, the second time you wouldn't hesitate. The risks and the dangers are the same. What changed? Your why changed. Your reason for wanting to do it. You see, when the reason is big enough, you'll be willing to perform almost any how. Now your why is necessary, but the next key lesson talks about a common mistake that people do even though their why was strong. And that brings us to our next key lesson, the pump well. When you start thinking about slacking off on your routines and rhythms, consider the massive cost of inconsistency. It is not the loss of the single action and tiny results it creates. It is the utter collapse and loss of momentum. Your entire progress will suffer. Think of a hand-pumped water well, which uses a pipe to draw water up from the water table several feet underground. To get the water to the surface, you have to pump the well's lever to create the suction that brings the water above the ground and out of the spout. When most people start a new endeavor, they grab the lever and start pumping really hard. They pump and pump and pump, but after a few minutes when they don't see any water, i.e. results, they give up pumping the lever altogether. They don't realize how long it takes to create the vacuum needed to suck the water into the pipe and eventually out of the spout and into their bucket. Just like the merry-go-round, rocket ship or steam engine breaking free of inertia, it takes time, massive energy and consistency to pump water. Most people give up, but wise people continue to pump. Those who persevere and continue to pump the lever will eventually get a few drops of water. This is when a lot of people say, you've got to be kidding me. All this pumping and for what? A few measly drops? Forget it. Many people throw their hands up in defeat and quit, but wise people persist further. And here's where the magic happens. If you continue to pump, it doesn't take long before you'll get a full and steady stream of water. You have success. Now that the water is flowing, you no longer need to pump the lever as hard or as quickly. It becomes easy actually. All you have to do to keep the pressure steady is to keep pumping the lever consistently. That's the compound effect. Now what happens if you let go of the lever for too long? The water falls back down into the ground and you're back to square one. If you try to pump the lever easily and steadily, you won't get any water. Mo, i.e. momentum, is gone. The water is back at the bottom. The only way to get it back up is to pump it really hard all over. I see people buy a new book, sign up for a new program or seminar, and go like crazy for a couple of weeks or months. Then they stop and end up right back where they started. Sound familiar? Miss only couple of weeks of anything, workouts at the gym, affectionate gestures towards your spouse, or the phone calls that are part of your prospecting routine. And you don't simply lose the results those 2 weeks would have produced. If that's all you lost, which is what most people assume, not much damage would be done. But by slacking off for even a short time, you killed Mo. That's momentum. It's dead, and that's a tragedy. And for those of you who are still watching this video, I have a bonus for you. And I've made a handwritten PDF file that contains all the key lessons and all the key points that truly helped me. And I'm giving to you for completely free. The link is in the description. And I've used all of the lessons that I've learned from this book to build a Notion life tracker. And this Notion document has helped me stick to one goal for months. And after watching this video, you know how important being consistent is. So watch this video. I'll be talking about the dashboard in depth and it's completely for free. So it's going to be a lot of value to you. And until then, I'll see you in the next one.